Welcome into Miami, Florida, the site for this SEC matchup between the Florida State Seminoles and the Miami Hurricanes. I'm David Roy, and in the booth with me, my broadcast partner, Mike Peters, a commissioner of the CFSL. And Mike, both teams coming in off a win last week, but Miami, maybe the more impressive win of the two. Your thoughts going into week two?
Well, I think both of these teams showed some things last week. I think they both have some question marks that they need to answer. I think it's going to be a close, competitive game, and I'm excited to see who comes out in front in it.
So the return early on here, Kevin Watts going to bring this one out near the 25-yard line. And there we get our first look at Vidar Lund, the tailback of the Seminoles, who was absent in the fourth quarter last week.
Well, they're going to have to solve that riddle as trying to keep him on the field. Akuma Tulok did a great job in relief, but you want your number one quarterback out there, running back rather.
Well, Jackson, the number one quarterback, going to take off and run, and a first down and more out across to the Florida State 37.
Well, it was a nice job there by Jackson. He gets hung up a little bit on the edge, but takes off and finds some room on the outside, picks up the nice game. And a good start so far. He's got to watch out for turnovers, which have plagued him so far in his career.
Over the last 4 games that Jackson has been in, he's thrown at least 1 interception in each. Here, he'll go with a read option keeper outside to the right. David Ware pushing him to the sideline where he's finally shoved out of bounds.
Well, David Ware just bounced off of him. Joseph Hart finally is able to push him out of bounds, but Jackson looking good running the ball so far.
Midline read, Jackson keeping it yet again, stumbling against Kraut, but he will get 2 and a manageable third.
Well, he didn't look so good on that one. He is running into the line a little bit. He's got to show a little bit better awareness, getting outside of the backfield and creating some running room.
2 tight ends on the field for the Seminoles. And the read option keeper, Joseph Hart can't bring him down, nor can Griffin Richardson, as Jackson fights across midfield.
Well, I don't know what's going on with Adonis Jackson, but he has taken the load so far, and he's doing a pretty good job with it. He's really putting this drive on his back.
From the pistol, keeping it again is Jackson, working his way outside, spins off 1, but not 2, as down he goes after a gain of 1.
Well, it looks like he's getting a little bit tired after taking the ball 5 times in a row. He's going to have to maybe hand it off to Vidar Lund or start throwing some passes to get a breather.
Back in the pistol, and the give to Lund on the draw, and he will fight his way down inside the Miami 45, a gain of 7, and another manageable third here for the Seminoles.
Well, Lund gets 7 there. He averaged 6.7 last week, and had a nice start to it. But again, they got to manage his stamina so he's available in the fourth quarter.
From the pistol, 2 tight ends at the bottom. Jackson, a quick throw over the middle. And Brandon Maynard, the second, will move the sticks with his first catch of the night.
Well, they go with their first pass, and they go to their tight end. Only had a couple of catches last week, but makes a nice catch early on here to move the chains. And so far, Florida State looking pretty good on this opening drive.
From the Miami 34, Jackson to throw over the middle. The pass caught. Matthew Moyer with a first down here, gain of 12.
Well, Jackson started off running the ball. 5 straight plays, looked pretty good doing it despite running into the line once. Now he's throwing the ball, looking good there. Florida State's coming out really strong on this opening drive.
Maynard, the tight end in motion, and the give to Akuma Tulok to the inside. Gets 4, and this rushing attack by the Seminoles, the big story on this opening drive.
Well, Tulok did a very good job last week of coming in and filling in for Vidar Lund. He did only average 3.1 yards per carry. Part of that was his fatigue late in the game.
So a flag here is the Florida State offensive line jumps. So that 4 yards they picked up, it's negated. They'll lose 5 and set up a long 2nd and 11.
Well, I suspect they'll go with something underneath, try to set up a more manageable third down here. We'll see what they do.
Miami showing blitz. They bring it as Jackson off the play fake. Dancing, floats it to the right side, and the comeback route caught by Kamorian Moore for 13.
Well, Jackson did a good job in the pocket there, recognizing the pressure, stays in the pocket, finds some room, hits Moore on the comeback. Now they got a 1st and goal.
Jackson out of the gun. The give to Vidar Lund up the middle, fighting his way down to the 6-yard line. 2nd and 5.
You know, at this point, I don't know if I'd like to see a pass or not. I think between Lund and Tulok and Jackson, I say you just run it maybe 4 times here and try to take the lead on the road.
Miami showing blitz once again as Adonis Jackson out of the pistol. Keeps it himself outside to the left. Caught from behind by Perry Pennell.
That was a great job by Pennell. The dive and make the tackle look like Jackson was going to get 6. Now they force a pivotal 3rd and 3 here. Can they get the stop?
13th play of this opening drive, and Lund the touchdown for the Seminoles.
Well, that was great blocking there. Vidar Lund had a huge hole, could have drove a bus through it. And Florida State caps off a very good drive by punching in the end zone, and they go up early here, 7-0 on the road. That's a good way to start, especially against an in-state rival. You want to start the edge, and now Miami's going to come out on the field playing from behind.
On a long opening drive for Florida State, 13 plays spanning 70 yards. Took up nearly half the opening quarter to pull that drive off, and out comes the Miami offense that scored 28 unanswered in the first quarter last week against Michigan. An impressive debut for Axton Richardson as a Hurricane.
Well, it's going to be pivotal for this Florida State defense to start off getting this team off of the field. They can't let them score on their 4 opening drives.
Richardson, the read option keeper himself, and read well. Walker in the backfield to stop him.
Well, it's a pretty good way to start. Get them for a 3-yard loss. Any kind of loss of yardage severely decreases your chance of extending the drive. You get them for a loss on first down, now they're forced on the 2nd and 13. Now you can kind of do anything you want on defense.
Hurricanes backed up to their own 26 now as Richardson, the give to Marcus Duncan, and he gets stood up by Rob Money, got 2 yards back, but a long 3rd down early on.
Well, we didn't see a lot of this from Miami last week as they had a lot of fairly short 3rd downs. They converted 64%. Not going to keep that rate up on these 3rd and 11s.
2 tight ends on the field for the Hurricanes, one of them in motion is Richardson with a blitz coming, but he wants a shot to the right side, and he's got Blaze Gunner into the end zone for 6.
I don't know what it is about this Miami team early in games, but Florida State did exactly what they needed to. They forced them into a 3rd and long. I think a lot of people thought they were going to get him off the field, and then in the face of pressure, Axton Richardson airs it out, finds Blaze Gunner, who not only gets deep behind the defense, but also slips a tackle and ties it up on their opening drive just 3 plays into it.
Well, Blaze Gunner, you remember last season, 3 touchdowns for Gunner in a 4th quarter to orchestrate a comeback by the Miami Hurricanes, a game that they won. Jose Bueno was a quarterback at that time, and out comes Axton Richardson from Oregon showing, I'm a gunslinger too. Watch this 72-yard bomb.
Yeah, I don't think much is going to change in the way of finding Blaze Gunner deep. He's a deep threat. He shows it there, and it's going to be tough for Florida State to counter that.
Jackson trying a shot of his own, and it's a jump ball incomplete.
Well, taking a shot to Matthew Moyer, the 4-star. It's a jump ball. He doesn't quite have the explosiveness of Blaze Gunner. Throws it one-on-one, not able to come down with it. Forces the 2nd down.
The gun, the read option keeper blown up. Adonis Jackson losing 5. Isaac Kraut.
Well, Kraut's already got 5 tackles. He was one of the guys that we talked about on the podcast. He didn't have a big game. He only had 4 tackles last week. He's got 5 already on the opening 2 possessions.
And Kraut dropped several interceptions a week ago. Came down with 1, but 2 pass breakups on the night when he could have had 3. And a long 3rd down, Jackson with a pass rush in his face. He wants a shot down the right side. Jump ball intercepted. Troy pressing.
Well, again, another one-on-one play on the outside. Jackson's trying to test the secondary, and Preston comes up with it. He was going for Kamorian Moore, the 3-star senior, and he was up against Preston, the 3-star junior. The junior wins it, and Miami's got the ball in good field position.
So a great opening drive for Florida State. Their 2nd drive, a turnover, and Richardson, a laser over the middle, and Nathaniel somehow held on.
Well, you got to appreciate that when you throw it over the middle and kind of leave your receiver out to dry a little bit, but he's able to hold on to it. Akuma Taloke applies the hit, but Nathaniel does a great job holding on to that one for the 9-yard pickup.
Hit might be a bit of a modest word. It was more of a crunch.
Well, Tom Pence is saying that you're jinxing him already.
I don't do the jinxing anymore. 2-by-2 set, play fake. Richardson down the left sideline and incomplete, out of bounds.
Well, I don't know if he meant to throw that one away. but it looked like he might have. Nothing was open, and instead of forcing it in the traffic, which Adonis Jackson did, leading the interception, he just throws it away.
Strong eye to the right, and the toss. Marcus Duncan out in space, and he's got the first down inside the Florida State 45-yard line.
Well, those toss plays on the outside are kind of boom or bust, and that time blocked very well for Miami. They get the nice pickup in the first down.
Richardson out of the gun, 3 wide, and Marcus Duncan off the play fake over to the right sideline where Jay Nathaniel will come up with 4 yards, his second catch of the drive.
Well, Nathaniel's becoming a big part of this offense as he's getting catch after catch. Had only 4 last week, but for 70 yards and a touchdown. Now he's playing more of the possession role.
Richardson floating it over to the left sideline. Matthew Owsley, a fierce stiff arm to help him get 4. And another third and manageable here for the Hurricanes.
Well, tight ends are typically bigger than the corners and have a little bit more strength. He shows it there with the stiff arm, and a very manageable third down here.
The gun, 3 wide, and the give. Duncan right up the middle, falling forward for 5 yards.
That's what makes both of these two offenses so tough to get off the field on third down, especially when it's third and short. They have big bruising running backs that could pound the ball up the middle. Miami does it there. They get the first down, and Florida State's going to need to come up with a stop here to prevent from falling behind.
Midline read. Richardson found a crease, fighting forward. Still on his feet as he is dragged down to the 10.
Well, how similar does that look to last week where Richardson ran for 155 yards? Sportsbook over-under on him was 124 and a half. Well, I don't know if he can put up 150 every week, but if he runs like that, he sure will be able to.
A 20-yard run for the sophomore at quarterback. Richardson now back in the gun, looking, going to tuck it and run once again outside and then slides. Even though Wellen was there to wall off the defender.
Yeah, it looked like he was trying to go to the outside, go around Wellen, who had the position, but then for whatever reason, he just decides to slide. Maybe a little bit of a mental error there.
Seminoles showing blitz as receiver gunner in motion, and Richardson back to the line off the triple option.
Well, I actually brought Woodard in motion there, trying to use him as a decoy on the read option. Didn't work. Good stay-at-home presence there by the Florida State defense. They need one more stop to force the field goal.
10th play of the current drive, and it's a halfback screen. Marcus Duncan cannot get away from Rob Money. It's a loss of 2, and out now will come this Miami field goal unit.
Well, the pressure from the Florida State defensive line got through quickly. Might have threw it just a little bit before they wanted to. Duncan was out in front of his blockers, and the Florida State defenders took the outside angle, and they're able to get back there and shut that one down. So good job there by Florida State's defense, closing down inside the red zone and forcing the field goal.
So Dakota Grossa last week only had to kick 1 field goal, 1 here tonight from 28 yards, and a 3-point lead for Miami.
I have a funny feeling that he might have to kick more than 1 field goal to win this game.
So Florida State, Kevin Watts on the return, and for the first time, the Seminoles trying to work in Kevin Watts in on the kicking game.
Yeah, it was a change that they made this week, trying to get him out there, use him a little bit, maybe provide Lund a little bit of a breather and keep him on the field in the fourth quarter.
Midline read, and Adonis Jackson got stopped in his tracks by David Ware. Able to fall forward for a couple yards, but the Miami Hurricanes starting to clamp down on that running game.
Well, both of these defenses are, and that's why I think field goals might prove to be the difference in this one.
Pistol set now for the Seminoles. It's Jackson to throw. Dancing, able to slip out of trouble, and then gets rocked by Isaac Kraut.
Well, Jackson's proven to be a little bit of a magician there in the backfield. More often than not, you think he's going to get stopped by the defensive line, and somehow he finds a way to slip through and pick up decent yardage, and he's got a manageable third down here.
5th third down of the night here for the Seminoles. They're 3 of 4 so far, and it's a manageable one. As Jackson, quick throw to the left side, and Kamorian Moore gets 8.
Well, Jackson, again, doing a good job. If he can stay out of those shot plays downfield that are 50-50 balls, that's what he threw his interception on. I think he can move the ball down the field effectively. Obviously, you're going to have to do it occasionally. Otherwise, the defense will catch on.
Lund able to find a crease, but then is dragged down. Able to get 8 yards, though, 2nd and 2.
Well, he's got 4 carries. He's on pace for about 15 to 20. His over-under in the sportsbook was 14.5. We'll see if they can get him more than that tonight.
Hand off, running left, Vidar Lund down the left sideline and in a foot race for the end zone. Stopped by Troy Pressing down inside the 10.
Well, Pressing, even though he's a corner, winds up playing safety there as he was the safety valve that made that stop. If it wasn't for him, Lund was going to take that to the house for 6. Great run there by the halfback. And we'll start the second quarter with a 1st and goal for Florida State.
Ball will be spotted from the 8-yard line, and that is how we end this first quarter. Miami up by 3, but maybe not for much longer as the Seminoles are driving. You're watching the CFSL on PX1 Sports on YouTube Live. Start of the second quarter, and it's a give to Taloke right up the middle. Works his way down to the 6-yard line, close to the 5. It's a gain of 3.
Well, it's only a second carry in this game, and he's already looking a little tired. Loon's already off the field down here inside the red zone, although it looks like he's back out there now.
Pistol set, 2 tight ends, speed option, the pitch. Vidar Lund in for 6.
Well, I think it's appropriate that Loon gets the touchdown there. He did the heavy lifting on this drive on the big play to the outside where he got the big gain. And they finished it off with him getting the carry for the touchdown. Florida State answers back after turning the ball over in their last drive. They get the touchdown. They take the lead again here early in the second quarter.
So an excellent drive for the Seminoles, able to span a 7-play series down that stretch. And the big play, as you mentioned, Vidar Lund, a long run that he caps off with his second touchdown run of the night. And Blaze Gunner, decent return across the 30. And so early on, Mike, it seems that this game is offering exactly what we expected, a back-and-forth affair that's likely going to come down to the wire.
Yeah, I don't think much is going to change in this game. I think it's going to be a back-and-forth game. It's going to come down to who turns the ball over less and maybe who has the ball last in this game.
Axton Richardson going to set up another halfback screen, and it is blown up. Latrell Graves read it the whole way.
Well, usually you see the defensive tackles blow those up. That time Latrell Graves on the outside just gets pushed into it by the offensive lineman, and he's right there to take down Duncan for the long loss of yards.
Well, we saw this earlier tonight on the opening drive for Miami, that they put themselves in a long yard situation. Then they kept it off with a deep shot. From the gun, it's a give. Duncan bouncing it outside to the left and then down that left hash for a gain of 7, 3rd and 9.
Well, now we'll see what they do. That 3rd and 15, as you mentioned, they go with the deep shot. They get the touchdown on it. 3rd and 9 here. What do they try to do?
Trips bottom of the screen with Woodard, the single receiver up at the top. Richardson over the middle, and the pass is dropped. Had the first down, but Richard Singer can't hold on.
Yeah, the 3-star junior not able to bring that one in, and it ends the drive for Miami. So now Miami got only 3 on their last drive. Now they're having the punt. Florida State gets some momentum back with their last drive. They got an opportunity to create some more distance between them and Miami.
The first punt that either defense has been able to force tonight. You remember earlier that Florida State, when they had to change possessions, it was because of an interception by Troy Pressing. And now the Seminoles, already a 4-point lead in their 4th drive, looking to add to it.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see what they can do. Jackson so far has done really well, not only running the ball, but passing the ball well on the short to intermediate routes. Miami's going to need to try to take that away. I don't know if maybe they try to increase the aggressiveness a little bit, but you got to force Florida State off the field.
Pistol set here. And a play fake. Jackson with time, going to tuck it and run, though, running to the right side, and he will slide. And Adonis Jackson, been a busy man tonight. How concerned are you with a workload like that this early on for your quarterback?
I'm not super concerned with it. I mean, it might prove to be something. Right now, Miami's going to need to start using some spies or something to slow him down.
Midline read, and Jackson stopped at the line of scrimmage by David Ware. 3rd down.
Well, Taloke was in on that one. They use him on the read option. Jackson tries to keep it, but David Ware was not fooled and gets in there for the nice stop.
11 carries already for Jackson, still early in the second quarter. And it's a midline read, and the Miami defense blows it up.
Well, great job there. Rex Tyler was the first one in, it looked like, and Gilbert Wilkerson winds up getting the stop. So great job there by the Miami defense to getting the stop and forcing the fourth down.
So back-to-back drives that either offense has been able to come up with a 3-and-out and a punt. As here Blaze Gunner trying to go outside, gets pretty good punt return for him out to the 34. Now Miami going to have to figure out how to rebound off that last punt.
Well, you're going to have some drive stall. I don't think it's the biggest thing in the world, but the deep shot to Blaze Gunner is always something you want to keep an eye on.
Well, they bring Gunner in motion for the triple option, and then he runs into Axon Richardson, which slows him down, and he only gets a yard.
Well, I think that's why he's the downfield threat, not the not the lead blocking threat. It looked like he was a little confused on who he was supposed to pick up there. Gets in his quarterback's way and kind of slows down that play.
Richardson got put through the spin cycle as he was trying to get turned around and find his north and south again after the collision with Gunner. So on 2nd and 9, the give, Marcus Duncan had a crease, but Zach Howard slammed the door shut.
Well, and Rob Money, I think, is the one that officially got credit for the tackle, but a great job there by the defense. Like you said, big hole, but they shut it down to force the third.
Medium third here on 3rd and 5, and Richardson going to make an adjustment at the line. Looking against a 4-man rush, he's going to tuck it and run, but the big lumbering quarterback lost a yard, officially called a sack.
Well, Andy Anthony was the first one in there, and then Howard gets credit for it. Good job all around by this defensive line. Actually, it wasn't.
It was William Robinson.
Oh, William Robinson's the one that goes in and winds up getting it. And a nice play there to get the stop and force the fourth down.
Back-to-back 3-and-outs for the Miami Hurricane offense. And so now their defense will look to do the same to the Seminoles offense, who they're coming off a 3-and-out and a punt of their own.
Well, both of the defenses are playing well. We saw that in the first quarter. They have both gotten a couple scores out of it, but the defense, for the most part, are kind of dictating what's happening. They're making it tough for the offenses to put together long, sustained drives.
2 tight ends on the field here. Now the pistol set. They go to Loon, fighting with Ware and fighting for yards. He'll get 5.
Well, I think Loon is going to be a big part of this offense as long as he can stay on the field in the fourth quarters. Got 7 carries so far, and pretty much each one of them has been really good.
Back in the gun here, Jackson with a 2-by-2 set and a wide receiver screen for Elijah Thomas, but he is stopped at the 40. It's a gain of 4 and a 3rd and 1.
Well, that's a little short underneath route for Thomas. He picks up 4, only had 1 catch last week. They want to get him more involved. We'll see if they can. They start him off here in the second quarter with his first catch.
Pistol set. The give to Loon up the middle, and the first down and more out across to the 45-yard line. Gain of 6 for Loon. 8th carry of the night. He's already got 2 rushing touchdowns.
Well, and he's got 10 yards per carry, but you got to start wondering. He only had 14 carries last week. Is that his limit all of a sudden? So maybe you're a little worried that he's getting too much of a workload.
So give it to Taloke, who tries to go outside, and your big middle linebacker, you don't want going outside. You want him going north and south.
Well, I said that I was really impressed with Taloke last week, and I'm wondering now if that was more of an aberration, as the Miami defense is not letting him get anything going tonight.
Taloke back in the backfield. They give it to him on a draw play, and this time Akuma Taloke, a little bit more success. He gets 3 yards, but still 3rd and 10.
Yeah, he's only averaging 1.8 per carry, and again, it looked really good at times last week, but now you might be seeing a little bit of that dual two-way position coming back to bite Florida State.
Loon on the halfback screen and gets blown up by Isaac Crowd, a gain of 3, and the Seminoles will have to punt it away now.
I don't really like that play call. I mean, I get it. It is a common play call on 3rd and long. You're kind of giving up on it, hoping for a big play or playing field position. At midfield, I'd almost rather you just go take a shot downfield than do that.
So Blaze Gunner having to field it from inside his own 15-yard line, and does pretty good, gets it out to the 30, but right now it seems that we're in the middle of a back and forth between 2 defenses. Yeah,
the defenses are really dictating the pace. They're not allowing a whole lot in the run game, and either of the offenses are feeling real comfortable taking shots downfield.
Owsley, the tight end in motion, and he's going to lead the way for Axton Richardson to spin across down to the Miami 44.
Well, if they can get blocking like that, they'll be okay, as they got a nice block out in front on that play and almost sprung Axton Richardson.
Back in the gun. Duncan goes in motion, play fake, quick throw out into the flats, and Jay Nathaniel able to get it across midfield. It's a gain of 15 for the Hurricanes.
Well, we talked about it. Nathaniel last week had some big catches, 70 yards and a touchdown. That's his third catch already here in the first half. I think he's going to be a real key part of this offense, the 4-star wide receiver pairing up with the 5-star Blaze Gunner, and it's been a pretty deadly combination so far.
Well, we talked about it last week, too, that we were impressed how well that Axton Richardson was spreading the ball around to his receivers, starting to find that rhythm again here as he'll go with a draw. And Marcus Duncan, the shiftiness to get out of trouble and get 7, finally stopped by Kevin Watts.
Well, I've talked about the power backs. Both of these two guys are. Duncan's a little bit different. He's got more speed, not quite as big as Loon, but both of them can power it up the middle and make people miss.
From the gun, Axton Richardson going to bring his receiver Singer in motion to join him in the backfield. And they run the triple option as Richardson gets 5 and moves the sticks.
Well, Richardson's starting to get going a little bit running the ball, and that was a big part of why they were so effective last week. And if he can do that, use the read option, it's going to make things tougher for Florida State's defense.
4 wide, trips top the screen, read option. Richardson cuts it upfield, fighting for that first down. They give it to him.
Well, another big run there by Axton Richardson as they get inside the 20. They got a field goal last time they were down here. Can they punch it in the end zone here?
Third red zone trip of the night for the Miami Hurricanes. Blaze Gunner comes in motion for the triple option, and then Richardson gets lit up by Akuma Talo.
Well, Taloke might be a little bit upset that he's not playing so well on offense, so he comes through there with the big hit. And once again, Blaze Gunner looks lost as a blocker.
2nd and 13, 2 minutes and counting to play here in this second quarter. They're going to bring the receiver in motion into the backfield. Triple option again, and the pitch to him, but it's blown up. Singer losing 3 and another long third down.
Well, I think that's a little bit of trying to get too creative and outthinking yourself, and Florida State was not fooled by it. So now you put yourself in a long third down situation. Take yourself out of the red zone.
From the gun, 2-by-2 set. Richardson from the left hash. And they'll go with a halfback screen to the short side. Marcus Duncan able to get it back into the 20, or at least close to it, picking up 3 yards and a long 4th down.
Yeah, a little bit too conservative there for my blood. You're down by 4. I mean, a field goal does help you, but I'd like to see you at least try to push it towards the end zone.
So this one from 37 yards, and you said it, going to have to kick more than one field goal tonight for Dakota Grosser. Well, that is his second, and he is 3 for 3 now on the season from range.
Well, he could also might need to kick at least one more, depending on how this offense does. They haven't been able to get into the end zone outside of that long pass to Blaze Gunner. So if they keep stalling out in the red zone, he's going to be busy in the second half.
I want to take this time to give a shout out to everybody in the live chat. Kevin Watts, Tom Pence, Bobby Jackson, Matthew Moyer, King T23, David Ware, Jay Nathaniel, Shane, Doug Oley, and anybody else I might have missed. I apologize. A shot to the right side falls incomplete. Troy pressing in airtight coverage.
Well, they went to Elijah Thomas, the 6'5", 230-pound receiver, but he wasn't able to come down with that on the 50-50 ball.
Pressing at the interception earlier as Jackson stands in, and pressing could have had his third opportunity at interception there. Bats it down, 3rd and 10.
Well, he's doing a good job. They're testing him right now, the 5-star sophomore, or 3-star junior, excuse me, and he's coming up big.
Halfback screen, Vidar Lund has some blocking in front of him, but he cannot get the first down, swarmed by the orange jerseys of the Hurricanes.
Well, they keep going to Vidar on these halfback screens, and that one he almost converted on, but Isaac Kraut, with his 9th tackle here in the first half, is able to shut it down.
He's been a busy man here tonight, much more so than what he was last week. Only 4 tackles and a pick as Blaze Gunner able to get this out to his own 45-yard line. Decent return, but even better field position here for Axton Richardson and company.
Well, we'll see what they can do. They got the run game going a little bit last time, but they got to convert when they get inside the red zone, and that's been a problem for them tonight. Richardson
has to go to the flats on the check down. Owsley able to pick up 5 yards as Champ Taylor there to stop him.
Well, they go short there, but now they're hurrying up. It's inside of a minute, so they're going to have to push the ball down the field quickly. despite having 2 timeouts.
Well, they're going to have to do a lot more than that because down goes Richardson, sacked for a loss of 7. No huddle again for the Hurricanes, trying to preserve their last 2 timeouts.
Well, Graves does a good job there. 2nd tackle for loss on the night, putting him in a tough spot here.
Axon Richardson to throw against a 3-man rush, and he will go way short of the markers. But Nathaniel, with power and a first down, pushed out of bounds at the 37.
Well, Nathaniel was having none of that. He just uses his side to push forward there. He's also 6'5", 230, similar to Elijah Thomas on the other side. He shows it there, runs over the defender, and picks up the first.
Ben Cole, the one to push him out of bounds with the help of Kevin Watts, because otherwise Nathaniel could have turned that into 6 points in a lead for the Hurricanes. First down and 10 from the 43, and Richardson to give on the draw, and Zach Howard eats him up.
Big stop there behind her. This defensive line, we talked about it a lot even last season. These defensive ends make a lot of play, and they're doing so here in the first half.
From the gun, Axton Richardson inside of 30 seconds of play in the half. Quick throw on the angle route. Marcus Duncan gets 3, and he's brought down pretty quickly. On the gun, Richardson. Quick throw onto the right sideline, incomplete.
I don't know what the purpose was of throwing that one outside, maybe just to get a little bit more for the field goal. But again, Rosa coming on here, trying to put him out in front at the end of the half.
His longest, this one from 53 and from the right hash and off the right upright.
Well, and they had a returner back there, Elijah Thomas, who could have taken that one back, but he wasn't really paying attention. He could have taken that off of the upright and chose not. Actually, that was Matthew Moyer, excuse me. 10 seconds left. I don't know that Florida State's going to try to do much with it here.
It would be interesting to see them test the arm of Adonis Jackson to see if he can really push it downfield. Here, Jackson dancing. He is going to take the shot. Jump ball, batted away by John Dowd.
Well, I consider myself befuddled as I thought they might just run it out, but they're trying to play aggressively here.
Only up by 1, 14-13 here near the end of the half, and Jackson to put it all on his arm again. Able to bounce off a sack, and a shot in the middle of the field is intercepted by Isaac Kraut at the 20 to end the half.
It doesn't really hurt you there to throw that interception, but I think it can give a little bit of motivation and momentum to the defense as they can kind of up their level a little bit, feeling like they turned it over or they caused the turnover. So even though it doesn't necessarily affect the position or the score, it might have a negative effect in the second half.
So in a situation like that, as we head into the studio and end of each team in the locker rooms, it's a 1-point lead for Florida State. But an interception like that, second pick of the night for Adonis Jackson, does it play into his mindset at all?
It shouldn't if he's got good coaching. I should tell him, look, we just wanted you to throw it deep. That happens. You know, the first one was a 50-50 ball, but depending on his psyche, it's very possible. He's only a sophomore. You know, it is possible that gets in his head. We'll have to see how it plays out. Right now, the defenses are doing a lot. There's been a couple of big plays on offense. There's been bits and pieces where you see things. But overall, the defenses, Isaac Kraut's been big for Miami. The defensive line and Akuma Toloka have been big for Florida State. We'll see if that continues. Can the offenses find some room out there and create some more big plays, or is it just going to be this short nickel and dime down the field, and whoever sustains the longest drives wins?
Well, you look at the two offenses and tale of two different offenses at that. Miami really going through the air. Florida State, it's been the ground and pound game, but the 2 turnovers for the Seminoles, they haven't necessarily hurt them. They're up by 1 in a game where both teams have really scored most of their points in their first 3 drives. Since then, it's been all defense.
Yeah, and I think we're going to continue to see that. Honestly, I don't know what the offenses can do differently. Maybe work in the read option a little bit more, which could create a little bit of pressure on the defense and force them into some different coverages. But for the most part, the defense is just doing well.
Well, a muffed kickoff return, and then Isaac Kraut has to scoop it up and bring it back to the 20. So things not starting off well for the Hurricanes. If it's a foreshadowing at all, things are going to end poorly.
Well, if they gained any momentum off of that turnover at the end of the first half, they might have lost it with that fumble.
Andre Woodard coming in motion for the triple option, and Richardson going to lower that helmet and power forward to get 6.
Well, Richardson was a little slow getting going there, and it's the start of the half. He should be rested. Now, maybe he just wasn't finding the lane that he was looking for, but didn't have the explosiveness that it looked like he had in the first half.
Well, could have struggled to pick up traction, too. All that tape looks like he's wearing socks.
Or slippers.
Yeah, it could be. Or both. Wide receiver screen, and it is caught. Woodard pushing forward. He'll get the first down off a gain of 6.
Well, Philip Walker, the free safety, down playing on Woodard there. Was his job to cover him. He was a little late getting over there, so good execution by Miami to get that first down.
3 wide here for the Hurricanes. And it's a midline read. Axton Richardson with room to run. Brings it out to the 40. It's a gain of 7. This Miami offense starting to find their rhythm once again.
Well, they found it at different points tonight, and it's kind of gone back and forth. Can they keep that going? We'll see.
From the gun, Marcus Duncan, the man in motion. They give it to him right up the middle. Tried to cut it outside, but Kevin Watts blasted him after a gain of 4.
Well, power football is definitely the way to win in this league, I think. You're definitely going to be able to throw the ball around, but if you can't run the ball hard up the middle, it's going to be hard to consistently win, and Miami's doing that right now.
Back in the gun, Richardson, as he calls for Blaze Gunner to join him in the backfield. And they give it to Duncan right up the middle off that triple option, falling forward for a 15-yard run.
Well, I think if you're going to bring Blaze Gunner into the backfield, that's the way to do it. Use him as a decoy, not a blocker. And they actually got the defense to think about him, and Duncan was able to pick up the big gain up the middle.
Well, at some point you got to think they're just going to give it to Blaze Gunner as an end around, right?
Maybe. I mean, it's possible. They could definitely be setting that up.
From the gun, Duncan, the motion man, they give it to him. Trying to find a lane. He looked to bounce it outside to the right. Able to get a yard out of it, but very well defended. Or no, excuse me, Isaac Kraut got the carry.
Yeah, and, it was a nice novelty last week seeing these guys on offense, and there was some big performances, especially Tulok. But the more we see it, the more I'm thinking it's more of a hindrance for these guys.
Well, here they do give it to Blaze Gunner as he came in motion for that triple option, and it pays off. He gets 11.
I guess he jinxed the defense by saying they were going to hand it off eventually.
Well, I guess. Not, broadcasting intellect up here or anything like that. From the gun, Richardson, they're going to bring Isaac Kraut in motion. Use him as a decoy to help block for Axton Richardson to get 6.
Well, I said that they needed to use the read option more. Right now, Miami's doing it, and they're moving the ball in the field. That's largely what they did in their game last week in that win over Michigan. If they can keep doing it here, I think they can maybe start to gain some traction.
Wide receiver screen, Jay Nathaniel. Inside the 10, pushed out of bounds at about the 5, first and goal for the Hurricanes.
Jaden Nathaniel may be overlooked when we talked about breakout players this season, but right now he's a big part of this offense. They had Blaze Gunner last season, and they had Nick Begg, but Nick Begg didn't seem to be utilized quite the same way that Nathaniel is, and it's really helping them to give an extra tier, I guess, to this offense.
Third trip inside the red zone, and Marcus Duncan lowers his shoulder, gets 2, second and goal from inside the 5 now.
Well, this is where Miami struggled all night, and they've kicked field goals on both of their trips inside the red zone. They got to finally find a way to get one in the end zone.
Kraut checks in now into the backfield here in the place of Duncan. They give it to him. Isaac Kraut cannot get into the end zone, turned away at the 1. Did not have the ball carrier decision to just push ahead into the end zone.
I'm not quite sure Isaac Kraut what he was doing there, but it was obvious he had no intention of scoring a touchdown.
Marcus Duncan checks into the backfield now. Maybe he was to give him the touchdown because he runs it in for 6.
Well, Duncan able to push it in there. Probably should have scored on the previous play, but like you said, maybe Kraut was just wanting to give his buddy the touchdown and felt like a ball hog being a defensive player getting a touchdown. So they get it in. Now they're going to go for 2 and try to put the lead at 7 points.
Trips to the bottom of to the top of the screen, and the give, Marcus Duncan, an easy lane for him to get in to give them those 2 extra points. And Miami now a 7-point lead nearing the midway point of this third quarter.
You don't see them run the ball much on 2-point conversions. They probably should more because it's only a 3-yard play, and your average running play is over 4 yards. So they do it there, and they get the 2 points, and now Florida State, for the first time in a while, is playing from behind.
Kevin Watts able to get this across the 26-yard line, and they're playing from behind in a situation where Adonis Jackson, he's thrown 2 interceptions already tonight. Now, the one, obviously, end of the half, not a big deal. But this offense, you're asking him to try to air it out a little bit more, not his strong suit. Play fake, rolling right, with time over the middle and into traffic incomplete.
I'm not sure if I like the decision there. You're throwing in the triple coverage and you leave your guy out to dry. I think they got to go back to running the ball and use the read option, much like Miami did.
2 tight ends. It's Jackson throwing middle of the field again. Kamorian Moore able to hold on to it this time. Gets 7, a manageable third.
A lot of teams do this when they get down. They're only down by 7. You don't have to change your offense at all. But a lot of times they do. They get behind and they start throwing the ball a lot, and then they wind up going down even further.
2 tight ends on the field again. Loon up the middle with a first down out to the 40.
Well, good job there by Loon. He's averaging 9.7 yards per carry. Again, I don't see why you don't give him the ball more. Use Adonis Jackson on the read option. I think that's your path to success. You got to use it more if you want to get back in front in this game.
Well, they will feed him again for his 10th carry, but this time the Miami defense holds him to a 1-yard run.
Well, assuming he comes out in the fourth quarter like he did last week, he's right on pace for about his 14 carries in this game.
2nd down and 9. Akuma Taloke does check into the backfield in Loon's place. And they go halfback screen for Akuma Taloke as he is run down by the defensive tackle, and then the rest of the Hurricanes drag him down for a loss of 3.
Yeah, I'm not sure what Florida State saw in practice. What we saw last week was good for the most part, although he did only average 3.1 per carry. He had some nice screen passes. But this week he looks completely bewildered on offense. And you got to think that they had seen some of this and that they were rolling the dice a little bit with him in the backfield. It's just not working out for him tonight.
Taloke's still in the backfield on a long 3rd down as Jackson dancing, taking a shot, left sideline, batted away by Troy Pressing, who has 3 pass breakups, which could translate into he's missed a few opportunities at more interceptions tonight.
Maybe. That one was tough. He had to spin around. The
Sure.
other, his last one he batted away. He was just trying to break it up. But they keep testing him. He's coming up gold every time. And the 3-star's really playing like a 5-star tonight.
So Blaze Gunner on the punt return, breaks 1 tackle, and then is dragged down to the 40. So a good return here for Miami, who's got a 7-point lead and seemingly most of the momentum.
Well, we got the punt return in the exhibition game, and it took over 400 games to get one. I feel like it's going to be another 400 before you see the next one.
Midline read, and Axon Richardson looking sluggish with that carry as he gets 3 yards to open up the drive.
We saw that a little bit last week, too, that the 3rd quarter was showing a lot of fatigue for players, which is weird. You think it was the 4th quarter, and to some regard we did with Loon, but late in this 3rd quarter we're starting to see it take effect, I think.
Midline read again, and the Florida State defense all over it. Loss of 2, back to the original line of scrimmage, courtesy of Ben Cole.
Yeah, Cole comes through, finds the hole there and does a good job of wrapping up and forcing the 3rd down. They're using the read option, but it might actually been wearing out Richardson. Keep an eye on Gunner here, though.
Richardson, quick throw out into the flats. Jay Nathaniel breaks 1, but a shot from the side by Akuma Taloke you can't get away from.
Well, I don't mind them going to Nathaniel because he's been doing a really good job of creating separation from defenders with his stiff arm and just bullying guys over. Wasn't able to do it there, so now you play field position and try to pin him deep.
So the punt is away, fielded from inside the 15 by Matthew Moyer and able to get it across to the 22-yard line. So Florida State, they've been able in trying to string a few drives together, but that last drive, a little bit more pass heavy than what you were hoping for.
Yeah, I think they got to go with more read option. They started off throwing it too much.
Read option here, and Adonis Jackson able to get outside and to the right. Gets 4, Isaac Kraut with the tackle.
Well, Brandon Maynard created some space out there with his block, but he wasn't able to seal it off. He's got to do a better job of getting the angle there and sealing off the outside for Jackson.
Pistol set. 2 tight ends on the field. Jackson with a blitz in his face, but he's able to find Kamorian Moore, who stumbles across to the 45-yard line.
Well, Kamorian Moore returning to the Seminoles this season was a decent part of this offense last year. Not a huge part, though. He's getting more involved this season at 5 catches for 63. Was our leading receiver last week. You kind of see why there. He throws it to him in coverage. He stumbles, keeps his balance, even slips through a tackle. Nice job there.
3 wide on the field, 2 of them to the top of the screen on the tight end side. And it's a play fake, rolling right. Maynard on the right sideline, pushed out of bounds by Pressing after a gain of 5.
Well, we haven't seen a whole lot of play action by either one of these teams, and I think that's an element that's missing from a lot of playbooks and a lot of game plan. So they do it there. I think I'd like to see a little bit more of that as well.
Pistol set, 2 tight ends, and the speed option. Vidar Lund, a stiff arm against Pinnell, gets him across midfield, but it's 3rd and 2.
Well, this is the key point here. 11 carries late in the third quarter. Is that managing Lund enough?
Load management tonight for Lund as they go right back to him, and he stood up in the backfield for a loss of 2.
Well, that's his 12th carry and 13th tackle for Isaac Kraut. So Kraut is winning if you just want to go by that stat. 13 tackles to 12 carries by Lund. Lund's been very effective. I don't know if they're using him much, but again, the fact that he came off in the fourth quarter is kind of limiting probably how much they're going to him.
Isaac Kraut a lot busier tonight than he was last week in Ann Arbor. Is that punt out of bounds? We'll see where they spot it. It was close to the one.
Yeah, that was close, and it's going to be interesting to see where they spot it. It did go through the end zone, so they'll start this one at the 20.
So from their own 20, but again, Isaac Kraut last week, 4 tackles, a pick, 2 pass breakups. This week, 13 tackles, 2 for a loss. Been busy for him. Been a busy night for Axon Richardson. Another carry for him as he fights to get those 6 yards.
Well, Blaze Gunner got a block on that one, but mostly just by running into somebody that he didn't realize he was supposed to block. So he helped create a little bit of space there.
Kevin Watts, 6 tackles here tonight as the Seminoles show blitz with Ben Cole dropping down to the line. And it's a midline read. Richardson back at the line of scrimmage. Rob Money there to stop him.
Well, it's the 6th tackle for Money. It's a decent game for him, but I think he's been playing better than those stats will indicate because he's come up with some really key stops in situations like that.
18 carries here tonight for Axon Richardson, and he'll keep it again for his 19th, but it goes for a first down as Cole drags him down from behind.
Yeah, nice stop there. Cole kind of grabbing him, but now you got to wonder a little bit, Richardson with all of these carries, does he start to get winded a little bit in the fourth quarter?
We talked about with Adonis Jackson, his early workload here. An end around and cutting it inside was Gunner. Had 11 the first time he ran it. This time, a lot less, only 2 yards.
Well, I don't mind the idea of it. I just don't think it's being executed effectively enough to get him the bite the way they want him to.
Seminoles dropping down close to the line of scrimmage. Man in motion again. Another triple option. And the pitch to the outside. Richard Singer gets 3, 3rd and medium.
I kind of feel like they're trying to be a little bit creative here. Now I'd expect them to push the ball down the field a little bit here on this 3rd down.
Blaze Gunner, the receiver at the top of your screen. They go draw. Marcus Duncan fighting through 2 tackles, but cannot fight through the 3rd by Champ Taylor. Gets 2 yards, 4th and 3. And Miami will punt.
Well, I think they outsmarted themselves that drive. I didn't mind the 2 option plays, but then on that 3rd down, you got to try to maybe use a play action or something. Instead, they just go with a draw, and it was kind of a lackadaisical effort, I think, by Miami there.
6 straight runs for the Hurricanes, and they end up punting it back to Florida State, who we will see when we come back for the fourth quarter. Miami up by 7, and the Seminoles looking to tie it up. You're watching the CFSL on PX1 Sports on YouTube Live. Start of the fourth quarter, and the Seminoles gonna run it with Vidar Lund working his way to the left. Gets 3, 2nd down and 7.
Okay, so he's 13 carries now. He's into the fourth quarter. He had 14 last week. Didn't see him pretty much at all the fourth quarter. So this is kind of the deciding point on what we see from Vidar Lund.
Well, he is in the backfield, but they won't go to him. Instead, Jackson off his back foot, looking in the direction of Akuma Tolok, 3rd down.
Yeah, and I'm a little concerned with Tolok being out there, as ineffective as he's been, and he's in the backfield here on this crucial 3rd down.
Him and Vidar Lund both in the backfield, flanking Jackson. Now they'll go with a halfback screen to Vidar Lund, who's got blocking in the first down, pushed out of bounds close to midfield.
Well, the one thing that maybe that did is made the defense consider Tolok, who goes to the other side, and so they wind up getting good blocking downfield and a numbers advantage, and they get the first.
Lund and Tolok both in the backfield again. Play fake, Jackson over the middle, and the pass is caught by Matthew Moyer. Stopped pretty quickly, though, by Griffin Richardson.
I don't know what it is about Jackson, but he loves to throw in coverage. He tries to fit things into such tight windows. I wish he'd start going through his progression a little bit better and finding the open guy.
Play fake again, Jackson throwing to the left sideline. Brandon Maynard, the second, pushed out of bounds at the 25.
Well, that time he did a good job of finding the open receiver with plenty of room, puts good touch on it, leads him a little bit so he can turn upfield and make the catch. If he can throw the ball like that, Florida State's going to be a dangerous team this season.
So Brandon Maynard pushed out of bounds. Last week, only 2 catches for 35 yards. 2 catches again here tonight. Been about just as utilized, but just as effective as well.
It's been very similar outside of the workload for Toloke.
Pistol set with Loon, the lone tailback, and Jackson's going to tuck it and run. He's got the first down and a little bit more as Isaac Kraut stops him.
Well, again, we see Adonis Jackson able to run on a passing play. When he doesn't see what he likes, he's able to take off and pick up good numbers.
Down to the 11 of the Miami Hurricanes, and out of the pistol, Jackson throwing short to the right sideline. Brent Mills, the 3-star, gets 4.
Well, he just goes with a little check down there. Didn't see what he likes. The defense compresses down here. There's not as much room to cover. It makes it tougher to throw the ball. Read option, I think, is your answer.
From the gun, they're going to bring Moyer into the backfield, and they'll go with a triple option, but it is read beautifully by Griffin Richardson.
Well, once again, the man wearing Justin Time's number. Justin Time had a Player of the Week candidate game last week, and his number sake on Miami this season, Griffin Richardson doing an equally impressive job filling in.
Richardson, the transfer from Oregon, joining Axon Richardson here with the Hurricanes. And a long 3rd down, Jackson in trouble. Ball is loose, and the Seminoles offensive line able to avoid true disaster, as it's only a sack for a loss of 7. But that could have been a lot worse for Florida State.
Well, it was a great job there by the walk-on Watson to create pressure. And then he hits Jackson, causing the fumble. He saw that a lot. Fortunately for Florida State, they were able to jump on it, and they'll have a shot at a field goal, but they're still going to be behind, even if they get it.
Out comes Sir Johnson from 32 yards away, and from the right hash, he delivers. And it is a 4-point game, but this time, Florida State feeling like they're on the wrong side of that scoreboard.
Well, they need their defense to come up and make some stops here. They're going to need Akuma Toloke and some of these other guys, Kevin Watts and the defensive ends, to get some pressure, make some stops, and hold Miami to nothing more than a field goal.
Speaking about Miami, revenge has been brewing here for the Miami Hurricanes since week 3 of last season, when Florida State, they were at home during that game, but they beat the Hurricanes soundly 41-17. And Miami since then has been looking to even up the score as it's picked off. Champ Taylor running it back. Marcus Duncan stops him at the 8. And a huge turn of events here late in this one.
Well, I said they needed to get a stop and hold them to no more than 3. Almost a pick 6 is even better as he takes it back inside the 10. So quickly you're back out on offense with a 1st and goal and an opportunity to get the lead and take a whole bunch of momentum away from Miami.
1st and goal for the Seminoles. Pistol set, 2 tight ends. Vidar Loon, the tailback here for Florida State, and they feed him as Loon fighting his way down to the 2.
Well, he's already involved more than he was in the 4th quarter last week. He gets the 99 yards there. 16th tackle, though, for Isaac Kraut. Remember, Wyatt King, 17 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, 1 player of the week in week 1. Kraut's having that kind of performance, but he needs his team to win. He needs to come up with a big stop here.
Pistol set again, 2 tight ends on the field. They're going to bring a receiver motion, triple option, the pitch to him, and the touchdown for Kamori and Moore.
Well, Kamori and Moore touchdown vultures that one away from Vidar Loon, who was out there. They used them on the decoy. I'm sure Loon doesn't care because they got into the end zone. But Florida State comes away with the pick, gets inside the 10. They punch it in, and now they've got the lead back and putting the pressure back on the Hurricanes.
So a 3-point lead now for Florida State with the extra point. And you mentioned it, big momentum swing back to the other side for the Seminoles, but there's time for Miami to swing it back into their favor.
Well, they can't turn the ball over, and they got to go back to that run game, which has been so big for them.
Isaac Kraut, decent return, able to get it across the 30-yard line. And so out comes Axon Richardson. As a sophomore, he's been in this situation before. We'll see how he responds after the interception. Starting in the gun, and the give to Marcus Duncan outside to the right. Had some great blocking, but got hammered by Kevin Watts.
Well, Florida State starting out by keeping him everything in front of him, not allowing the big play. But he does get 6 yards, and if you're going to give up 6 yards on every run, eventually they're going to make their way into the end zone, and you don't want to see that here and put the pressure on Adonis Jackson to throw the ball down the field and try to catch back up.
So from the pistol, and Axon Richardson play fake, rolling left and into trouble. Sacked by Lane DeAnthony.
Now, DeAnthony has been kind of quiet tonight, but he gets through there, fights through the block on the play action, and winds up actually just pushing himself on the outside, set himself up kind of perfectly. Just got to disengage there and gets the sack. Now it's going to be a long third down. We haven't seen a deep shot to Blaze Gunner since the one in the first quarter. Wouldn't mind seeing one here.
3rd and 11, halfback screen to the short side, and Marcus Duncan cuts it back inside, spinning forward, able to get 7, but they need 11 yards to move the sticks, and on 4th down, the Hurricanes will punt.
Yeah, Miami is just not looking like the high-power juggernaut that they were last week against Michigan. And part of it is their play calling. It's just not as inspiring as it was last week. They're not executing as well. And now Florida State with an opportunity to take a 10-point lead late in this game.
5:02 to play here in the 4th, and keep in mind this is a conference game, so the winner gets an early leg up in the SEC, and it could prove to be a major dividend down the stretch as they go wide receiver screen, able to complete it to Moore, and he gets 2 as the Hurricanes swarm him.
Well, I think the important part is that Vidar Lund was lined up in the backfield, and so the fact that he's out there midway through the 4th quarter is a good sign for Florida State.
Pistol set here, and Adonis Jackson gonna keep it himself on the read option. Stopped by Isaac Crowd, who tries to clothesline him after a gain of 5, 3rd and short.
Well, Lund's got 14 carries. He needs one more to beat what he got last week, which is the line in the sports books. So for those that bet the over, they're looking for it. But on 3rd and 2, I think it's a perfect opportunity for them to go with Lund here.
17 tackles tonight, by the way, for Isaac Crowd. Almost repeating the performance by Wyatt King a week ago as a pass into the flats, broken up by Troy Pressing, who has been locked down all night for Miami.
I'm not sure who's been more impressive, Pressing or Crowd. They're both having player of the week type games. I don't like that play calling there by Florida State. They have Lund in the backfield. They don't go to him one time, and they don't get a first down. Kind of much like Miami's last drive, very uninspiring.
Decent return here, though, for Blaze Gunner. That means decent field position for a Miami team, still trailing by 3 across the midway point of this 4th quarter.
Well, Blaze Gunner's in single coverage here. Press coverage on the top of the screen. I look that way.
Midline read and a stiff arm, but Akuma Talok would not be denied his tackle for a loss.
Yeah, and this might be a situation of that interception coming back and Richardson playing it safe here. This play calling looks kind of safe, and they're not executing a whole lot. I don't know if that's playing a role, but you got Blaze Gunner in one-on-one coverage and press coverage at the top of the screen. You got to look that way.
Hand off, Marcus Duncan, bouncing it outside and to the left, and a stiff arm will get him a yard short of the line to gain.
Well, despite my objection to their play calling, they got a situation where they can get the first down here, but I still, even though you're only down 3, Blaze Gunner's such a deep threat there. You got to look to him at some point.
Top of the screen once again is Blaze Gunner. It's Owsley in motion to give Duncan the first down. A little stutter step to help get him a little extra yardage.
I mean, if they run the ball the entire drive and they use the read option to get down the score, you can't argue with it. And now, outside of that first down play, playing a lot of off coverage from the defense.
So from the gun, once again, Richardson looking, gets a 4-man rush and a quick throw over to the right side. There's Blaze Gunner. He gets 8 yards and sets up a very manageable second down.
Well, if they're going to play off coverage, that's one of the ways to beat it with dig routes, and they go to him there. And now you're giving the defense something to think about. You go back to the run game.
From the gun, 3 wide. Duncan to the right of Richardson. Midline read, Axon Richardson stood up by Rob Money, but back to the line of scrimmage. So it remains 2 yards to go to move the sticks.
Well, Money doesn't have the numbers that Isaac Kraut does, but I would argue that he's been just as effective and pivotal for this defense.
Big third down here for both teams. Got to think if Miami doesn't get it, they'll go for it on 4th down because Marcus Duncan stopped at the line.
Tyrone Alvarez, the walk-on, gets in there for the tackle. They're not going to go for it. They're going to settle for the field goal. Well, maybe not.
So a flag is thrown. It's a false start penalty. So that would effectively knock Miami out of field goal range. 2.5 minutes to play. Do you really trust your defense at this juncture?
Well, they're going to go for it. I mean, it would be a really long field goal. So now they're going to go for it. That penalty could be very costly.
3 wide and Richardson to throw. 4-man rush over the middle. Isaac Kraut holds on. First down, Miami.
I think that penalty might have actually benefited them. That 53-yard field goal is not going to be an easy kick. This time they find a good play on 4th and long. They get the first down. Might have been addition by subtraction for Miami.
Down to the Florida State 27 now as Richardson to throw, 4-man rush. Stands in, goes short into the left side. Kraut lost it out of bounds, and it's a loss of 2 regardless.
I thought it was maybe going to be an incompletion, but they wind up calling it a fumble. And guess who? Rob Money is over there to force that one, and it winds up, well, I think he's going to be down there, but either way, he gets the tackle for loss.
10 tackles, 4 tackles for a loss here for Rob Money. They are going to take another look to see whether or not it was a fumble, and the most that would impact would likely be field position.
You know, between Money, Kraut, and Pressing, they're setting a very high bar for Defensive Player of the Week. And this is just the first game of the week.
After review of the play, the ruling on the field is reversed.
So they will bring it back. It's not a fumble. The most that might make is half a yard, if that. They're actually going to give them a yard. So 2nd and 9 for Miami as Richardson standing in, goes short again to the left side on the wheel route. Duncan gets 7, 3rd and 2.
Well, Richardson led him just a little bit too far outside, and Duncan wasn't quite aware enough to keep his feet in bounds. But still a nice play. I would be surprised if I didn't see Duncan or a read option here.
From the gun inside of 2 minutes of play, and the give, Duncan, the first down, brought down at the 10.
Miami's getting some fortune here. The penalty on the field goal wind up getting them a 4th down conversion. Then they didn't wind up getting the fumble, but they gained a few yards. Everything's going right for them here.
And off to Andre Woodard, who cuts it back inside and gets blasted by Kevin Watts. It's a gain of 4.
Yeah, it looked good at first when he cuts back to the other side. Then he meets Kevin Watts, and that's like meeting a big burly stranger in a dark alley, and not really what you want to do.
Packing some voltage on that hit for Andre Woodard as Richardson in the gun, 3 wide. And he'll look to throw. Dancing in the pocket. Comes back short, left side. Out of bounds at the 2. It's a 3-star Singer.
Well, good job there by Axton Richardson. Doesn't force anything. Take what the defense gives them. Live to fight another day. If field goal ties up, you don't have to force anything.
From the gun, the give. Duncan in for 6 from 3 yards out.
Well, now that touchdown puts Florida State in a situation they don't want to be in. Adonis Jackson has not yet proved that he can put the team on the back and throw the ball down the field, at least consistently. He had some moments last season, but nothing consistently. It's a little questionable. You get a little nervous if you're Florida State. We'll see what he can do. He can't just get a field goal. He's got to get the touchdown. Can he put this team on his back and do that?
1:16 to play, and Adonis Jackson, 3 timeouts to work with, and we'll see what sort of field position he will have as this kick return is in the backfield or in the end zone for a touchback. So a long way to go in 1:16 with 3 timeouts, and they show the numbers for Loon, but at this point, he's not going to get run a lot.
I wouldn't think so. That over, despite him being on the field, that's a good sign. I don't think he's going to get many carries.
Pistol set, and Jackson to throw, going to tuck it and run. Cuts it back to the inside and then gets hit hard by Griffin Richardson.
Well, I know Adonis Jackson doesn't like the slide, but that's the spot you want to see him slide. That could have easily been a fumble.
He had struggles with fumbles last season as Jackson to the right side into coverage. Broken up by Isaac Kraut.
Well, Kraut with another great play. Tries to go to Elijah Thomas. I get it, but too many of these downfield passes are 50-50 balls. They're going to come back to bite you.
Inside a minute now on 3rd and 4. Pistol set. The Hurricanes show blitz. They bring it as Jackson stumbles. Sacked for a loss of 1. Florida State a timeout call. They're keeping their offense on the field.
Well, they have to. I mean, it's all or nothing here. A great job by the Miami defense.
The game decided on this play. Jackson to throw. Floats it left sideline. Caught and pushed out of bounds. Brent Mills after a gain of 11.
Well, it was great coverage by Miami. They didn't give him a lot of room, but an excellent pass there by Adonis Jackson to get the first down to keep the game alive. 1
timeout remaining now here for the Seminoles. And Jackson to throw, 3-man rush. Takes a shot, left side, jump ball, and it's caught. Down inside the 10, Matthew Moyer to the 8.
Well, he finally got 1 for 4 on these jump balls, but what a crucial time for Moyer to come up with that one.
First and goal, and the clock will start again with a snap as Jackson dancing, goes short. Loon hurdles, stopped at the line of scrimmage.
Well, he just tries to check it down, giving it to his running back. They don't want to run the ball here, take up too much time, and defense does a good job.
They're going to clock it. So for Miami's side, don't give up the touchdown, but if you do, you got to think it's Blaze Gunner from an offensive standpoint.
Well, you can't give up the touchdown.
Pistol set, 3 wide. Jackson throwing the middle, and the pass is dropped. 4th and goal to go.
Deontay King, the new addition to this team, wasn't able to haul it in. Could have been the hero in his first game, but doesn't haul it in.
Kumataloka in the backfield into the right of Jackson from the 9. 3-man rush. Throwing, end zone wide open. Incomplete.
Elijah Thomas was wide open, and I thought the pass was good enough. He just didn't have the vision to keep his feet down. I think they need to review that, though. I thought he got a foot in.
They will not take a second look at it, and so Miami will take over from their own 9-yard line. Seminoles bring in a blitz as Marcus Duncan gets the carry, gets 5. No timeouts now for Florida State.
Well, we'll have to look at that more after the game. It looked like he might have had a foot in. It was kind of a bang-bang play, but Thomas got to show more awareness there.
From the gun now, and the give again to Marcus Duncan to run out the clock. And so next week, Florida State, their home opener against USC. Miami, they'll be right back here taking on the Auburn Tigers in another SEC matchup. That could be a big one.
Well, they're 2-0, so that's the big part for Miami as they start the season 2-0. They didn't look as explosive as they did last week, but they did what they needed to. They got the win, and at this point, they're kind of the front runners in the SEC.
1-0 in conference play as the Miami Hurricanes protect home turf in their home opener, 28-24 over the Florida State Seminoles. But don't you fret, we're not done. CFSL action will continue next week, or tomorrow, excuse me. Ohio State and Oregon going head-to-head in Outson Stadium, followed up by the Florida Gators on the road into Death Valley to take on the LSU Tigers.
Well, it should be 2 more great games. I think this one was a great way to kick off the week, and I think we're going to get more of this all week long. Some great defensive performances, Isaac Kraut being one of them. All the rest of the defensive players got to stand up big this week.
To see who else will find themselves in the Player of the Week conversation, who else will get a win this week, you'll have to come back tomorrow night. For Mike, I'm David. We'll see you right back here at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time tomorrow.